Senator Reed. Senator Crapo of Idaho is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Yellen, some appear to believe that you have announced that unless a debt limit increase or suspension occurs before December 15th, that the Treasury faces imminent default. That's not how I've read your comments. So it would be helpful for you to clarify what your current projection is for when Treasury would run out of headroom to operate below the debt limit and run dangerously low of operating cash. I also request that Treasury provide details of its latest debt and cash projections to the Finance Committee and look forward to receiving those projections.
Yes, let me clarify what I said. What I indicated in my most recent letter to Congress is that I have a high degree of confidence the Treasury will be able to finance the U.S. government through December 15th, but there would be scenarios in which Treasury would not have sufficient funds to continue to finance the operations of the U.S. government beyond that date. I would note that on December 15th, Treasury will invest funds from the infrastructure bill, and that will use up $118 billion worth of capacity when those funds are from the Highway Trust Fund are invested in government securities. And I didn't say that there is no way that we can make it past December 15th. There are a range, there's uncertainty about what our cash balance will be and our resources. Right now, there's uncertainty about where we will be on December 15th. And there are scenarios in which we can see it would not be possible to finance the government. That doesn't mean that there are not also scenarios in which we can, but we think it's important for Congress to recognize that we may not be able to, and therefore to raise the debt ceiling expeditiously.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. Chair Powell, inflation hit 6.2% last month, which is the highest in more than 3 decades. Still, the administration is pushing for support of a nearly $2 trillion social spending package. And by the way, that number even accepts their budget gimmicks that hide real costs that could mean several trillion more in spending over the next 10 years. Most of that spending does nothing to ameliorate the problems of rising inflation. In fact, will simply add fuel to the inflation fire. I'm very concerned that the administration is not taking inflation's threat seriously, and in the case of energy prices, is enacting regulatory policies that themselves are threats. Do you agree that inflation is a serious threat to our economy, and how do you intend to address inflation?
I do think that the threat of persistently higher inflation has grown. I think my baseline expectation is still, as I mentioned, and of most forecasters, is still that inflation will move back down over the course of next year closer to our target. But clearly the risk of more persistent inflation has risen. And I think what you've seen is you've seen our policy adapt, and you'll see it continue to adapt. You know, we will use our tools to make sure that higher inflation does not become entrenched.
I noted in your opening statement that you indicated that inflation pressures will linger well into next year. You do stand by that?
Yes, I think we can now see certainly through the middle of next year. That's an expectation. You know, forecasting is not a perfect art, as you may have noticed. But yes, right into the middle of next year, and you know, that's our expectation. But of course, what's happened is that date has been pushed out repeatedly as supply side problems have not really improved.
And if Congress were to pass an additional $2 trillion plus in spending, mixed with a number of increases in taxes, would that add to inflationary pressures?
Senator, I'm sorry I'll just just note that we have a longstanding policy of not commenting on active legislation, as you probably aren't surprised to hear.
I suspected that. One last very quick question, and for you, Chair Powell, you've indicated that there would be a report by the Fed on its discussion paper relating to digital currencies, and that's been delayed several times. My question to you is, when can we expect the Fed's report, and are there reasons for that delay?
I would think very soon. I mean, it's certainly in coming weeks, and the reasons are just trying to get it right and trying to find the time to get it right. It's been a very busy time, as you will know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Crapo. Senator Warner, Virginia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's good to see you, Secretary Yellen, and congratulations, Chair Powell.